What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing on the bacon. NFL DFS video. This is the Sunday Night Football Showdown. We are here. We are bringing you Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Sunday Night Football. Wanted to break it down. We broke down Thursday. Obviously, the game did a little bit different than what we had expected. We figured the Bills would win that bit, would win, not in that fashion. Obviously, Tua getting hurt. Achan being active, threw everyone for a loop a little bit, but we are here. We are trying to bring you as much information as we possibly can for this slate. Now, if you're new to the channel, or if you're a subscriber before, the mics might sound a little bit different. I'm obviously not at my house right now. I forgot my microphone, so I'm using my webcam mic. So I don't know how good the audio is going to be, but I hope it's good enough for you. We're here to help you bring home the bacon. If you've never been with us before, hopefully you stick around. We do a ton of information. We do MLB videos. Go check those out. We've got this video. We're going to break down the main slate using our matchup tool. We're going to do it all. So the main focus of NFL is Thursday Night Football, the main slate for NFL, rankings videos, Sunday Night Football, and Monday Night Football. So let me know what you guys would like to see in these videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the statistics. So we're going to look at the stats. We're going to see what positions are in the captain spot here on DraftKings, the stack percentage. We're going to look at all of that. Then we're going to build some lineups at the end, towards the end of the video, or throughout the video is what we're going to do. So we're going to go over all of that information. Now, it was a big hit for Thursday Night Football, and I want to continue that every showdown video for you. So if you are new to the channel, we are about 70 subscribers away from 10,000 YouTube subscribers. So once we hit to 10,000, we are going to give away a lifetime pass, which is worth $500 to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com once we hit to 10,000. So you got to be a YouTube subscriber here. That being said, hitting the love button on here, aka that like button, helps out the channel. Clicking on the ads helps out way more than you guys understand. So if you would do those, that would be amazing. It's just me on the website bringing all the video production, everything. So I hope it is worth it. So that being said, we're going to go over this matchup here. Now, this one could get out of hand quickly. It just depends if the game script continues to be what we think it's going to be. So just kind of looking at this, as of the making of this video, Friday night, the Houston Texans. So the over-under right now in this game is 46 or 45.5. So it's gone down from 46. As of now, it is 45.5 with a spread of 6.5 for Houston. Houston's currently implied team total of 26, where we've got Chicago at 19.5. So this one could get out of hand. We know that Caleb Williams had a very terrible week one. I get that. Could he bounce back? We'll see. If he's playing from behind, he's going to have to bounce back in this game. So what we're going to do is just kind of going over these statistics for these showdowns on DraftKings from last year's data to this year's data. So just kind of looking over them. 84% of the winning lineups contained at least one quarterback. Probably going to need two when you're building out through. 6% of them, only 6% of the winners use the entire $50,000 salary. So keep that in mind. 16% of them had one $200 player. Now we can find them here, but they're down below. You can see it's going to get very. I don't know about this one, but like a Robert Woods, Bob Trees. You could see that didn't do anything in week one at all. It wasn't not targeted over 12 snaps, and so he played some snaps. Wasn't there. So I don't know. You always got Dare or Dari. I can't remember how you say his name. But again, he was, one target, one reception, 3 yards. So he's there, but there are certain ones that you're looking at. I don't know if we're going to use a $200 player today. I just don't think we are. 80% of the lineups had a player of 4,000 or less. So if we are looking at that, we are looking at the Texans D and down from there. So maybe a Gerald Everett coming over. Damian Pierce, if he's in there, the Bears defense. It's probably not the Bears defense. If I'm using one, it's probably Texans defense at 4,000. The average winning lineup for last year and so far this year, 47,500. And then The stack percentage. Now, this is one where we never know what we're going to do, but the overall winning stack for the majority of them, 4-2, 44%. So if we're following the game script, we are looking at Houston being a 6.5 point favorite with an implied team total of over 6. We are looking at this, and a 4-2 stack would be 4 Texans, and you got to get them right, and then 2 Bears. Or if you think it's going to follow that, and you think that Caleb Williams is going to be playing from behind and has to chuck the ball up 50 times, you flip it and go with a 4-2 stack of Bears. Now, it depends on who you get. Probably the running backs. And again, we don't know. We saw what the Miami offense had to do once Tua went out. They did nothing. They sat Tua and Waddle, and that was it. So I don't know if the Bears will do that, but we're going to build it. We're going to try and help you build some of the best lineups we possibly can. So if you guys do like this, let me know. A 3-3 stack had 36% of the time was what took down the winner, and a 5-1 stack was only 21% of the time. So 5-1 is again, make multiple lineups. I get that. Everyone loves to do that. Pay attention to that, but not normal taking down a big pot here. And then we look at captain percentages. So this is big. This is what we're looking for. The majority of the time, 39% of the time, a wide receiver, so a wide receiver 1 was in the winning lineup at the captain spot. So you just kind of look here, and you can see that, like, Nico Collins is 10,000. So, Nico Collins at 15,000 compared to Joe Mixon at 15,300. C.J. Stroud, quarterback. Stephon Diggs, already threw a tantrum week 1, so we'll see. So 39% of the time, a wide receiver was in the captain spot. So we go down a little bit. 28% of the time, it was a running back. So again, for instance, if Houston goes up big and then Joe Mixon has a good game, we're obviously going to go down to let's say they're up big, and then kind of what we saw Thursday night, we saw that James Cook was 3 touchdowns early, and then he sat, and it came the second running back, Ray Davis. Now, if we think that's going to happen again, and maybe we think Joe Mixon's not going to be the number 1 scorer for this team, it's going to go to the wide receivers, maybe we go with Dameon Pierce if he plays. Maybe we do that. So that is a secondary backup way to think about it. If you think running back is there, maybe you think Joe Mixon's not going to be the guy tonight. That's also a chance. On top of that, quarterback was 17% of the time. Now, 100% right now, I would take C.J. Stroud over Caleb Williams as that quarterback. Now, that can always happen. You could have C.J. Stroud throw for 4 touchdowns and run for 1 in, and he's going to have a ton of scores. So we're going to build lineups with all of this information. Tight end, 7% of the time. So there's not really any good tight ends that I love very much in this matchup here. Defense was 7%, and kicker was 2%. Now, that 2% was Jake Moody on Monday Night Football. He had 6 of 6 field goals, I believe, of varying ranges, extra points as well. So that's the outlier. You're not really going to see that much. And obviously that is, like I said, outlier game, which we had right there. And speaking of Outlier, Outlier.Bet are the sponsors of these videos. Go check them out. You can start betting. They've got awesome betting trends. So if you play DFS and you sports bet, check them out. You can check out their insights. You can see all the great insights that pass through here, such as the first one that pops up is Jalen Hurts has failed to exceed 65.1 passing completion percentage in 4 of his last 5 games. So if you can find that, and it even shows you can find that on Underdog for -120, and so on and so forth. So Dallas Goedert has exceeded 15.5 longest receptions in 6 straight games at home. You can find the best bet there, Bet365. So there are a ton of information there. You can break down the games. You can go through here, look at the games, dig into the insights. So much to dig into, and that's what we're going to do right now. We are going to dig into this showdown. So that being said, let's follow the trend, and we think it's going to be a wide receiver captain spot. Okay, and in theory, we think it's going to be Houston. So let's build a 4-2 stack of Houston, looking at the captain spot being a wide receiver. So Nico Collins is number one here. He's the most expensive. His game last week, 6 of 8 targets, 117 yards, no touchdowns, did have 20.7. So that is one we can look at. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is there. 6 of 6, only 33 yards, but had 2 touchdowns. So he did complain on the field, got the touchdowns there. 21.9, he is a little bit cheaper. So if you think he's going to be the number one target, which he's obviously a wide receiver 1 in most offenses, I just don't think he's wide receiver 1 in this offense, at least through week 1. We get that. They're, week 1 is week 1. Another one I'm going to look at, a cheaper option would be Tank Dell. So looking at him, 3 of 7 targets, so they still targeted him 7 times, dropped 4 of the passes, 40 yards, did have rushing attempts though. So that is definitely a way to go about it here. But what I want to do is let's build with Nico Collins being the first captain for this. So we got to have CJ Stroud throwing to him, okay? Now, like I said, if the game goes this way and let's say Stroud throws 3 touchdowns to Collins, Caleb Williams is going to have to throw the ball. And I think questionable right now. Game log in week 1, he had 11 targets, only caught 4 of them. 11 targets, 6.9. He was targeted a ton. We get that. He played a ton there. Looking at the playing there, he played 67.86% of the snaps in week 1. The only other one was DJ Moore. Actually, Odunze, or however you say his name, played 76% of them. So that could be another option as well. So, but I'm looking at Keenan Allen. Let's have a bounce back time. He had a ton of targets. Let's see what we can do with it. So now we have 2 spots left. 4,000 is what we're looking at. Again, if you think Houston's going to go up big, and you know everyone's going to be on Mixon, you want to zig while everyone zags, we could definitely take a look at a $400 player, like we already talked about. $400 player plays. Now we have 7,400 left. I'm going to go Tank Dell. So this is just one way to build a lineup with a wide receiver from the team we think is going to score the most. Nico Collins at the top. We got Stroud throwing to him. We got Caleb Williams throwing to Keenan Allen. Make sure he is in there. He's questionable, but make sure he's in there. Then you got Dare and you got Tank Dell in there as well. So we're going to lock that lineup in there. And we're going to build a different lineup yet again. Now, like we talked about, you can go wide receivers for a captain spot depending on where you want to go. And depending, we're following the same trend. I think a lot of people are going to be on Stephon Diggs, which is understandable. But let's take a look at CJ Stroud as the captain spot here, where maybe we think it's going to go in a certain direction. Personally, I think Texans are going to put a hurting on the Bears. The Bears' defense brought them back. But again, Texans are way better than Tennessee. So CJ Stroud being at the top. Again, you got Caleb Williams, playing from behind. I think he's got to throw the ball a lot. And depending on what he's doing with that, I think DeAndre Swift, his week 1, 10 attempts for 30 yards, 1 target, did not catch it. Again, this one will be dependent. If he gets it early, maybe check down to DeAndre Swift. Again, you're trying to build lineups that are a little bit different than everybody else because you want to take a GPP down, but you want to stay a little consistent with them as well. So I think Joe Mixon still has a great game in this matchup against this Bears defense. One we haven't talked about is Brevin Jordan, one of those players, like I said. 80% of them had a $4,000 or less player. Now, Brevin Jordan could be that dude. Only 2 targets in week 1, but I think this could be a sneaky option for a tight end today or this week. And then 7,700, we go back to the well with Tank Dell. Now, did not mean to rhyme that, but I did. So CJ Stroud being the top there, I get that. So those are 2 lineups that we can look at. Let's go with a third one, just kind of feeling out, maybe a little bit out there a little bit. But again, we talked about Tank Dell week 1, had 7 targets, 40 yards. Let's put him at the captain spot. So we've got Tank Dell at the captain spot. We've got CJ Stroud throwing to him. We got Caleb Williams. And instead of Keenan Allen, he's throwing to DJ Moore at 9,000. DJ Moore in week 1, 8 targets, caught 5 of them, had 1 rushing attempt for 14 yards. We remember that DJ Moore had a massive game last year. But he had 4 touchdowns, 3 or 4 touchdowns. I get it was a different quarterback, but we are here with DJ Moore, going to put him in there at 9,000. Now that allows us an average of 5,600. Looking at 5,600 around that. So we bring that back. We bring Joe Mixon. So now we have 1,100. So we can come down here to 1,100. We can look at 1,000 for Travis Homer. Again, last week, 2 attempts for 10 yards. He could be a cheap option at 1,000. Depending on what you're looking at. He could be a very cheap option at 1,000, like I said. Robert Woods could be another one. Didn't do anything last week. Kind of up there in age. We get that. You've got Tyler Scott. Was inactive, so he's probably out again. So we got Dare again. 400 allows you 700. So again, you go 1,000. You go to 400, depending on where you're at. Travis Homer or down. I think this makes some sense. Cam Akers was inactive in week 1, which is wild. Considering he was really good with the Rams, then he signed here, played most of the preseason, then was inactive. So Cam Akers would make a little bit of sense if he's going to be active. Probably not active, though. So we can lock this lineup in to give you kind of just a little feeling of what we're looking at with a Texans stack. So now, let's flip it up. Let's say Texans, they do their thing, but maybe something happens, and somehow Caleb Williams is goated, and he comes through, and it's a Bears type captain spot. Now, with that, we look at this. This is where it gets interesting. We can do Keenan Allen at the captain spot here. Obviously, you want Caleb Williams throwing it to him. Got to get C.J. Stroud because he's going to be involved here. We get Tank Dell with that, so he's throwing to Tank Dell. Mixon. Then we do that. We have 1,200 left. So you could go one target last week for 8 yards. Did have 2 attempts for 11 yards, but did have a fumble and a loss. I don't know if that's going to affect anything. So probably not there. Travis Homer, maybe. Come down here. Dare is where I'm at again. So again, that's a cheap option. You still have 800 left over. You can really go any direction with this one if you go with the Bears as a stack. Now, those are some of the 4-2s that we're looking at, but we kind of talked about the 3-3s. 3-3 stack took it 36% of the time. So it wasn't bad. It was not 44, but overall, they didn't do too bad. So when you're building around that, we could look at, for instance, depending on where we're at, with a 3-3 stack, let's go out on a limb and say Caleb Williams is that quarterback, part of a 3-3 stack. Now, I don't have much hope for this one, but anything can happen in football. We get that. He had a terrible showing. His ownership should be low in the captain spot, and it allows you to go other directions here. So C.J. Stroud's still going to be in there for me. Joe Mixon's still going to be in there for me, averaging 4,200 the rest of the way. That is where we get Tank Dell in here, and now we have 1,000 left. And we bring it back to what I talked about, Travis Homer. Maybe he has a little bit of an explosion, gets on the scene. Maybe he vultures a touchdown or 2. His ownership should be pretty low, considering he's averaging 1 fantasy point per game after week 1 there. So that is a different way to do it. And then let's do one more kind of build, depending on what we're looking at. Maybe we go this way. Joe Mixon at the captain spot. Okay? Get crazy because you never know what happens. But Bears defense. So we look at the Bears defense last week. Obviously, good game. 24 fantasy points, 2 interceptions. I get that. So we got the Bears defense. We've got, now this one's, one of those crazy lineups that we're building. We got both defenses in there for whatever reason. You could have a high scoring game. Maybe these defenses pick off or have a fumble recovery or a pick 6 each side. Those points are going to go crazy. So you get both of those. Now we're at 9,200 the rest of the way, depending on kind of what we're looking at here. We got to get C.J. Stroud throwing to there. So we're at 8,900 there. We got to get Caleb Williams in there. Now we have 9,000 left. Again, you don't have to use all 50,000. You could save 600, go 8,400 for Keenan Allen, or you could go 9,000 for DJ Moore. So either way you could go. I'm going to go Keenan Allen, as long as he's healthy. If he is ruled out, then obviously we will flip it out. He'll go out, DJ Moore will go in. And that is a way to build a lineup using 3-3 and 4-2, both with a Chicago center and a Texas center. And by center, I mean we're centralized around the building lineups, both hitting both of the implied team totals, hitting what we think's going to happen, and what could happen if it doesn't follow the game script. So that is just part of building with us. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you want to check out other things that we have, go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. That is the website. We do have FTA Plus, which we currently have MMA, NFL, PGA, NASCAR, MLB, DFS, NBA once it comes back. So we've got all of that. $10 for a month, or a yearly pass normally worth $200. It's $10 a week, sorry. $10 a week or $30 a month, or a yearly pass worth $200, but you guys can get it for $50. There's only 8 spots left, so if you are interested in that, email me, dfshelp1@gmail.com, and we will get you set up for a yearly pass for $50. So that's what I've got in this video. Be on the lookout for the Monday Night Football breakdown. We'll be bringing that to you shortly. Good luck this week, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.